Hey, this is All the Rage with Paige. I'm Paige, and this is the 10th episode. The craziest part about that for me is, well, not only are we in double digits now, but one of my big goals for the year was to have at least 12 episodes of my, first solo podcast, and we're already almost there, and it's only April 1st. Wait, 2nd? It's April 2nd. All right, let's start with the polls that we did today. I asked if you guys have good posture, and 67% of you said no. And thank goodness, because I feel like I have horrible posture. And it's not something I've always realized, I guess. But especially after being a mom and nursing both my babies and carrying them all the time, I have just really noticed that my upper back is it's having a hard time. My upper back is having a hard time. And I did a broom exercise where you lift the broom behind you and then back, and instantly I could naturally stand up straighter, and it's fantastic. I don't know if you've looked at your posture in the mirror, but just go ahead and do it. It's going to be humbling if you don't have great posture, but just see the difference of when you open your chest. I can't really do it in this chair, unfortunately, which is now it's making me self-conscious about this seating arrangement in here. But when you open up your chest more, you look 10 times better. I'm not even kidding. It seriously makes a major difference. So it's definitely a big goal of mine to get that figured out. And I saw something recently, a TikTok. Anytime someone says they saw something recently, it was just on social media. But I saw a video talking about how our posture can actually be related to our emotions. And when I was thinking about it, it makes sense, because I feel when I'm really emotional, I feel a lot of my symptoms in my chest, and it just tightens up. And when I get a massage, the chest always feels so good. And that's always kind of confused me, because the obvious pain is usually in your back. But I do think that, we hold a lot of our anxieties and things like that in our chest, which makes sense, because it's kind of you want to curl up in a ball. Or at least I feel that way. So yeah, that's just something to kind of consider. And it does make you realize how much stress impacts our bodies, which is related to the next question that I asked, because I have noticed that I am getting the same exact physical symptoms every time something slightly triggers me, or I'm just my nervous system seems to be a little bit out of whack, or I'm just feeling anxious, maybe don't even know why, or might be fully conscious of it. But I'm noticing the same pattern of physical symptoms. For me, it looks like having cold sweats. I'm a little bit shaky. And I'm starting to notice now that I do kind of it's I'm kind of wanting to hide. So my body just kind of starts tensing up a bit. But now that I'm getting conscious of these things, I'm kind of recognizing them, because I think a lot of time these things come up a bit subconsciously. So it actually is helpful to notice these patterns, so that if I am all of a sudden shivering as if I'm very cold and it just kind of comes on suddenly, now I'm kind of picking up on oh, did something upset me? What conversation was I just having? Oh, I was talking about a memory from my childhood. Well, it kind of makes sense that my body, might be having a bit of a reaction. So I asked you guys if you're comfortable naked or wearing minimal clothing, whether you're at home, out in public, or not really at all. It is something interesting to think about, because, sometimes I think the feeling can change. Sometimes I feel it's something that we've never learned. So for me, when it comes to my body, I feel comfortable sharing it when I feel in control. So if I'm taking a picture of myself, a video of myself, or if I'm getting to wear certain clothes and I'm, in control over that, I feel pretty comfortable in that sense. But if I'm fully naked, even if I'm home alone, I will have this idea that my body needs to be perfect and that it is being perceived. Even if no one's around me, I'm like, I need to have the perfect body at all times. Having that feeling of like your body not being secured in certain places where everything's jiggling and out and about. I am not fully comfortable with that. But something I've been doing kind of recently is just wearing like underwear around, or even looking at my body naked in the mirror more, things like that. And because I am feeling a lot more love towards myself, I'm feeling a lot more confident and just being more nice to myself in general, this exercise of doing these things has been helpful. I asked you guys if you feel comfortable during, after sex, with your body naked or, in an outfit. If you're doing that, I do it. 50% of you said you feel comfortable the entire time. First of all, jealous that it comes so easy to you, but you keep doing what you do because that is amazing. I should have asked this question, but I wonder if the women that are comfortable during, if it's just because you're like so focused on your body feeling good, you're not necessarily focused on how it looks in that moment. I think I would say I'm a person that doesn't quite 100% feel comfortable during or after. However, I'm not somebody that like is under the covers or has the lights completely off. Like we'll have dim lighting. Wow, I'm really letting you guys in the bedroom right now. I do enjoy like wearing like a full like lace outfit. It does help with the confidence as far as like being able to show your full body and then not at the same time. It's just like a little accessory. If you are somebody that struggles with your body during sex, I would definitely suggest trying out some outfits. I don't remember the statistic and I wasn't going to research the video, but I did see a video that said a very vast majority of women have a much higher success rate of finishing during sex when they close their eyes. And I think it's because you're just focusing a lot more on the singular sense of feeling. I feel like I can concentrate better when my eyes are closed. And so when I saw that video, I was like, that makes sense to me, because I feel like the thing that'll get to me is if my mind is anywhere except for how my body is feeling. So, yeah. Try with your eyes closed, baby. All right, well, let's move on to the All the Rage segment. I have quite a few here. My first loathe is audiobooks. I don't know about you, but there is something about audiobooks that I cannot multitask. A lot of people seem to be able to do that, but I can't. And it's weird because I have always been a background girly, meaning like I will always have music in the background, a podcast in the background, TikToks in the background, like anything in the background. I'm not looking at the screen, but I'm listening to it. And I think it's just because like with the podcast, it depends on the podcast, but you don't necessarily have to be like hanging on to every single detail. And with a book, I feel like that is necessary. And usually when I'm reading a book, I'm realizing the things that I like about books is when it's almost like lyrical writing. Like I practically want to be like weeping with how beautiful the words are. So it's just not as effective for me if I'm like doing the dishes than if I'm completely absorbed in the story. I decided to try like a lucid dreaming sleep hypnosis this week. And have I lucid dreamed? I don't think so. But it got me to sleep immediately every single time I did it. So yeah, if you can't go to sleep, hypnosis. Speaking of hypnosis, so I have come to realize that I actually love TikTok tarot readers. Am I embarrassed by it? A little bit. But the reason I'm going to admit it is because I actually feel like it's been helping me out. It's kind of weird because the way that I view these tarot TikTok readers is, they're, I don't know how to explain it, but it's not like they are doing a psychic reading to me through TikTok. Like, obviously, it's a very like general thing, and they're just doing, tarot readings. But the reason I like it is because a lot of the time it's like readings like, what are people thinking about you? Or what's people's first impression of you? Why do people love you so much? And so they're just pretty much saying like a bunch of these really nice affirmations. So if I am cleaning the dishes and I'm just hearing things like, you are gorgeous, you are going to be so successful, you are going to be abundant, and you are going to just be living your wish fulfillment. Like, I'm over there like, hell yeah, I am. And I fully believe it. And I truly do kind of believe in like that law of attraction sort of thing, because anytime I'm just like really feeling myself, just enjoying myself, good things do happen to me for the most part. And as soon as I start getting critical of myself and negative, I just get like a whole string of bad luck. But it's really just me being against myself at the end of the day. And we know this. Listen to some tarot readers on TikTok sweet talk you, and you'll end up sweet talking yourself. It is like, it's like midday hypnosis, and I'm here for it. Also, deep breathing. I feel like I've mentioned that a few times on this podcast, but I just want to say it again. It's just fantastic. I've just noticed myself just like, you first got to start on an inhale, because if you just sigh, that's screaming some anger vibes, which, I mean, not to shame on anger, because it's a normal feeling that we're all going to have every single day of our lives. But I think it's a lot more effective to first inhale. Take a good old deep inhale, an even longer exhale, and I just instantly feel, it just already makes you feel more conscious of your body and that you need to take a breather. A loathe this week is my joy of making fun of things and people. Now that I am kind of growing and I'm becoming more self-aware, like I have already always been aware that like the things that we judge about other people, or things that we feel triggered about, things like that, usually is always just a reflection of ourselves. And even knowing that, like, I would just, indulge in gossip, or, I don't know, just like kind of being mean, I guess, about people to make myself feel better, because that's ultimately what it is. But there's something just so fun about it. I think because it's somewhere I shine when it comes to my comedy. So I enjoy that part of it, because obviously laughing is amazing. And I noticed that the way that I kind of scratch that itch now is when I'm watching reality TV. I've indulged in that sort of humor, and there's a part of me that's like, is it messed up that I do this? Like, is it going to make me have that sort of lens out in the world? You know what I mean? Because I am realizing how much the energies that we indulge in do really affect behaviors and things like that. So there was that part of me that's like, should I reconsider this? Should I just not indulge in this at all? But also, the thing that I love about watching reality shows, especially with my husband, is because we usually talk through them, and we consider the certain scenarios that happen on these shows, and we really like to discuss them, especially how certain people handled it and things like that. And it does make you kind of reflect on yourself or people in your life, and just kind of understand the reasoning for why people do the things they do, or what is the best way to handle certain life situations. Especially as a parent, there's a lot of experiences that we had, quite some time ago, what feels like a different lifetime ago, that we are going to need to be able to talk about with our kids, so that, they don't feel as in the dark when those things happen in their life. So I think just not going overboard in a way that is just flat out mean, I think it's okay and can actually be helpful for our own lives, observing these things and talking about it. A loathe this week is there's just the feelings of guilt and doubt. And I know that we have to have them, right? Because I don't know, it helps us be a better person, I guess, but I'm just so tired of it. I think certain people just like have that feeling a lot more than maybe the majority. I don't know. I feel like a lot of it comes from like family wounds, I guess, because I think usually it comes from us witnessing it from like our family members. And so we've kind of like, we've kind of taken on that feeling. I do think if we're like constantly feeling guilty or doubting ourselves, that it can turn into us like doubting other people or thinking that they need to feel guilty as well. And so I think it's really just better overall for everybody if we can circle back to reality or compassion and grace, because it's just going to make the world a better place if we're all treating each other with that same respect. I have noticed when I'm being more critical of myself and feeling guilty and things like that, it's when I'm having a hard time like being present. So I'm focusing too much on the past or the future, and I feel it and see it in the present. It's so crazy. It's like, of course, if I'm not in this moment, I'm going to mess up a lot. I'm going to make a lot of mistakes. I'm going to react because I'm so like in my head that if anything, needs me or, anything happens outside of my control, like I'm going to freak out because I'm like so invested in worrying about the future. And if I'm too focused on the past, then I think that like my old patterns are just going to really want to come to the forefront. And that like makes sense now that I kind of say that out loud. But yeah, there was weird things that happened this week. I lost my car key temporarily. I ended up finding it, but I don't think I've ever lost my car key in my life. I also lost my wedding ring. I also ended up finding it too. It ended up in the washing machine. It's totally fine. Again, something I had never lost before. So for me to lose both of those things this week just really kind of showed me that like I am not in my body right now. Like I am somewhere else. I am not here right now. This is a quick one, but I really loathe the end of the TikTok videos, the bleep. Because anytime I want to share a TikTok video, like I don't want that on the end. So every single time I save one, I edit it out and I just don't like it. Another loathe is like just toxic relationships in general. And I've just kind of had a realization of how common toxic relationships are, just like in my own experience and witnessing other people's experiences. And I think a lot of us question, like, what even is a toxic relationship? I think a lot of us handle so much when it comes to the people that we love. And a realization that I had today is that the people in my life that I know with 1000% certainty that they love me unconditionally, I have realized that none of those people have ever made me feel that bad about myself. That seems like such an obvious thing, but it's something that doesn't feel so obvious because we get used to certain people and their behaviors, or we like internalize those things and think that it's our fault and things like that. And yeah, just kind of realizing that like, there's certain people in my life that have been in my life for a significantly long time that have never made me feel bad about myself. That was just kind of like a big eye opener of like, yeah, I shouldn't really have anyone in my life that makes me feel bad about myself, like on a consistent basis. Like there's something wrong with that. And no wonder I'm having such a hard time being nice to myself if I think that the people closest to me don't like me that much, or don't respect me very much, or assume the worst of me. It makes sense that I'm going to think things are my fault that aren't, or that my mistakes or my flaws are so horrible that it's like affecting people's lives when it has nothing to do with them, things like that. So yeah, I don't know. It's just something to think about. If there are certain people in your life that you feel like you have to walk eggshells around or like make you feel like you have to behave a certain way. Because I think that's something else that I didn't really realize a lot. Like I've always known that I'm somebody that like picks up on energy and kind of like wants to give what I'm getting that sort of thing. And I've always been really hyper aware of how everybody around me is feeling and like feeling this need to make everybody happy, things like that. And yeah, it just made me realize that with certain people, I feel like I need to be a certain way. And it even goes down to like realizing that I'm not letting some people see me for who I really am because I just feel this feeling in my gut that they're not going to accept that person or that they are not going to see it anyway. So I don't want to open myself up to being criticized. Yeah, I just realized that I would act certain ways towards certain people to be accepted by them. And I don't think that that's good for us either, because that is pretty much telling ourselves that who we are when we're 100% ourselves is not enough, or that makes us unlikable, you know? From now on, I'm just only going to be around people that I feel fully comfortable with. And when I leave an interaction with them, I feel good about myself. I think that that's not asking for a lot, because I don't think that we should even have that feeling of like, the way I feel about myself is in this person's hands. That's not their responsibility. But if you feel like if you make a mistake with good intentions, that somebody is going to judge you or love you less and things like that, I think that's definitely something to be aware of and act accordingly. To end on a more positive note, my last love for the week is synchronicities. The more that I have been like open to viewing synchronicities or even like asking things of the universe, I know that sounds so insane, but like I'll just ask for a sign. And the reason I feel so confident to say this is because I've had like a 100% success rate, whether it's real or not. The fact that it makes me feel good and I get that little second of like, oh my gosh, what a cool coincidence. Regardless, I think it's been a positive thing in my life recently, and it's just been kind of fun. I don't know anything. I don't think a lot of us know very much. So why not have fun with experimenting with different ideas or beliefs and things like that? That's just kind of where I'm at right now. But yeah, I've been open to seeing like synchronicities or signs, and I've really been enjoying it. So I don't know if that's something that sounds fun to you. I suggest trying it out, and please reach out to me and tell me what happens, because I bet it's going to be something really fun and cool. I think I might want to stop it here. I went through all my notes anyways, but I'm really excited about how I'm feeling because this is the least nervous I have ever been recording. And I just feel, just more comfortable doing this. I think it's because my confidence is getting better. I think the things that I've been talking about out loud on here and thinking about throughout these weeks is part of why I'm growing so much as a person. And I'm just so excited to see where I'm going to be at the end of the year. I just think this is really cool. And I just wanted to acknowledge that I'm feeling really excited about this right now. There was a period where I even thought I might give up on doing this. And I'm just really glad that I didn't give up. So this is just a reminder that those feelings are going to come, and it's just good to keep going and see where that takes you, because, you know, I do think that sometimes we get scared when things get real, or we're coming up to something that's going to be really hard for us to go through. But I think when we push ourselves to keep going and believe in ourselves and all of that good stuff. Well, thank you if you've watched this whole video through. That means honestly the world to me. And I hope that we can engage even more in the future, however that looks like. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys doing the polls and engaging with me that way. It does truly make me feel closer to you guys, and it helps me learn about you guys a lot more. If you just came across this episode I do weekly polls and discussions on All the Rage with Paige on Instagram. So I love you guys, and I will see you next week. Bye.